Let's talk about the controversial rounds between Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski, rounds 2 and 3. The general consensus is that Islam has won round 1, Islam won round 4, and Volkanovski won round 5. So let's dive headfirst into the debated rounds.
Second round, some dicey moments there. Looks like he rocks him. He gets rocked. Volk I'm talking about. Back to the grappling. Back and forth they go. That's one of the hotly debated rounds.
To me, round 2 is much clearer than round 3, seeing as the biggest strike was landed by Islam Makhachev at 1 minute and 37 seconds when he times a perfect counter left straight as Alexander Volkanovski overreaches and he gets stumbled across the octagon. The only argument for Islam losing the round is at 3 minutes and 55 seconds into round number 2, Volkanovski lands what looks to be a left hand and seemingly drops Islam Makhachev. On closer rewatch, it's clear that Islam was already on his way down as he had slipped on the cage before the punch even gets close to landing on his head. It is hard to see any actual impact that punch had on Islam. Thus, the most impactful strike, and clearly winning the round in my opinion, was the counter left hand. We can now skip to round number 3, which is the highly debated round. Granted, if Islam had won round number 2, and he clearly won round 1 and round 4, he wins the fight hands down. But we will go over round number 3 just for clarity's sake.
Third round, Alex Volkanovski, dominant, clear cut, wins the round. Well, except for one of the judges who didn't give him the round, but most people, I think, gave the third round to Volk.
We start off, and the first strike of the fight is Islam landing a head kick on Volkanovski. Granted, Volkanovski was moving away from the head kick and he had a hand up to block, but the toe still connected, and I labeled that as a light strike. Next strike of the fight, Islam Makhachev goes for a jab. Volkanovski slips underneath it, lands a left hook on Islam's chin. You can see a slight impact of the hook on Islam's chin, and because of that impact, I'm labeling it a medium strike. 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Alexander Volkanovski goes in for a left hook to the body. Islam Makhachev is slipping away and it barely touches Islam. That is a light strike. Islam then goes for a clinch and at 3 minutes 54 seconds lands a knee. There doesn't seem to be that much force behind it and I'm categorizing it as a light strike. 3 minutes 41 seconds, Islam Makhachev lands a leg kick. There is not much impact behind the strike and I'm categorizing it as a light strike. Islam Makhachev lands a body kick, lands flush. You see a major impact of Alexander Volkanovski's body bending forward. I'm categorizing that as a hard strike. 3 minutes and 33 seconds, Islam Makhachev throws a left hook that seems to land and twist Volkanovski's head to the left. It is a clear impact of the strike affecting the fighter's head, and I'm categorizing it as a medium strike. 3 minutes and 32 seconds. Volkanovski throws a combination, all of his strikes miss, and he ends the combination with a tapping leg strike. I'm counting that as a light strike. 3 minutes and 31 seconds. Islam Makhachev throws a right hook that seemingly connects on Alexander Volkanovski. Get a big impact of Alex's head moving to the side with the strike. I'm categorizing that as a medium strike. 3 minutes and 27 seconds. We see a fairly decent connection from Alexander Volkanovski with a right hook to the body. We see no impact of the strike on Islam's body, but due to the extension and weight behind the punch, I'm categorizing that as a medium strike. 3 minutes and 27 seconds. Islam Makhachev throws a right hook, seemingly connecting on Volkanovski. While Volkanovski is pulling away from that, it might be a light strike. It is hard to determine the impact that the strike really had, whether Alex's head was snapped back because of the shot or if he was pulling it back to try to get away from the strike. We can come back to that later if it will make a difference. It is either a light or a medium strike. 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Alexander Volkanovski lands a jab when Islam is moving his head away from it. I'm categorizing that as a light strike. 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Islam Makhachev lands a left hook that grazes Alexander Volkanovski as he's pulling away from it. I'm categorizing that as a light strike. 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Alexander Volkanovski lands a solid inside leg kick with a lot of weight behind it. Islam Makhachev's leg gets moved dramatically because of the impact of the strike. I'm categorizing it as a heavy strike. 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Islam Makhachev pulls Alexander Volkanovski into him when he's in the clinch and lands a solid knee with a clear impact on Alexander Volkanovski's body. I'm categorizing that as a medium strike. 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Islam Makhachev gets a takedown on Alexander Volkanovski. Does nothing with it though. We will come back to this takedown later on if it will matter. A minute and 55. Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev trade light strikes against the cage. We will come back and count these later if they will matter. 1 minute 49 seconds. Alexander Volkanovski breaks away from the clinch and throws a flurry of strikes. He throws a right hand that misses. He then follows it up with a left hook that misses as Islam is ducking underneath it. And then he follows it up with another right hook that hits the top of Islam's forehead. Because of the body weight behind the strike, I am categorizing it as a medium strike due to the fact that there is no visible impact on Islam Makhachev. At 1 minute and 19 seconds, Alexander Volkanovski blitzes in with a left straight. Islam Makhachev ducks underneath it and counters it with an over-the-top right elbow. I'm categorizing that as a hard strike due to the fact that there is a visible impact on Alexander Volkanovski and he was moving directly into the punch, magnifying its force. 1 minute and 7 seconds. Islam Makhachev lands a glancing body kick as Alexander Volkanovski is moving away from it. I'm categorizing that as a light strike. 59 seconds. Alexander Volkanovski lands a pretty solid leg kick that moves Islam's leg. It does not have the same amount of impact as the heavy strike earlier, and I'm categorizing that as a medium strike. 53 seconds. Alexander Volkanovski steps in, lands a jab on Islam Makhachev. The jab lands when his hand is fully extended, and I'm categorizing that as a light strike. Islam Makhachev lands a check right hook, landing right on the ear of Alexander Volkanovski. Due to the fact that Alexander Volkanovski's head is moved so far forward and Islam Makhachev had full body weight behind that strike, I'm categorizing that as a hard strike. Alexander Volkanovski goes for another left hook. It glances off Islam Makhachev's chin, and I'm categorizing that as a light strike. 42 seconds. Islam Makhachev lands a jab on Alexander Volkanovski. I'm categorizing that as a light strike. 33 seconds. Alexander Volkanovski blitzes in with a right-left combination. Islam Makhachev again throws a check left hook. The blow lands behind Alexander Volkanovski's head and slightly wobbles him. Due to the impact of the strike, I'm categorizing that as a medium strike. 27 seconds. Islam Makhachev lands a knee. Alexander Volkanovski lands a knee at 26 seconds. Both of those are light strikes. 24 seconds. Alexander Volkanovski lands a right hook on Islam's ribs. I'm categorizing that as a light strike. 24 seconds. Islam Makhachev throws another check right hook. It lands again behind the head of Alexander Volkanovski. Due to the fact that Alexander Volkanovski's head position was impacted by the strike, I'm categorizing that as a medium strike. Alexander Volkanovski throws a knee as Islam Makhachev is getting up at 17 seconds. I'm categorizing that as a light strike. Islam Makhachev throws another right hook. It grazes Alexander Volkanovski's head. I'm categorizing that as a light strike. And that is all of the strikes of the round. If we tally up the totals, Alexander Volkanovski landed 1 hard strike and 4 medium strikes, and Islam Makhachev landed 3 hard strikes, 6 medium strikes, and 1 takedown. The rules are clear. The accumulative damage does not matter as much as the immediate impactful damage. Islam Makhachev landing more hard strikes and more medium strikes means that he wins the round. With round 3 not being disputed, I think we can finally put to bed the question of who really won this fight. What do you guys think? Did I miss any strikes with my assessment of the round? Did I miscategorize any strikes? What would you do differently? Let me know in the comments below, and have a great day.